Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the online class on capital budgeting. I am Dr. Suprava Sahu, faculty member of the PG Department of Commerce, Ravenshaw University. Today I will be taking a session on the topic capital budgeting, which is for the Masters in Commerce and Masters in Entrepreneurship students of second semester. Now, capital budgeting. What, students, do you mean by capital budgeting? Capital budgeting refers to a process of taking investment decisions about capital expenditure projects. Now, what do we mean by capital expenditure? Let me first clear it. Capital expenditure means that type of expenditure where amount of money is required to be invested for a longer period of time. We do not expect the returns in the year in which investment is made as opposed to revenue expenditure. One example of capital expenditure can be investment in plant and machinery or investment in any fixed asset for that matter, like land and building, furniture, etc. But revenue expenditure, on the contrary, refers to that type of expenditure where the benefits are received or reaped in the year of investment. For example, salaries. An employer pays salaries to his employees for the benefits received in the current period. So, my dear students, there are certain distinguishing features of capital expenditure which distinguish it from revenue expenditure. One is that it involves large investments. Another feature is that the expenditure once made in capital investment projects, it is irreversible. It cannot be reversed. We cannot go back on our decision. Suppose we have decided to invest in a particular item of plant and machinery. We do not have the intention of selling the plant and machinery in the year of purchase. We intend to use the plant and machinery till the end of its useful life for production purpose. Now, another distinguishing feature of capital expenditure is that it will generate profits not in the year of investment but in subsequent years. The benefits will be reaped from the investment over a large number of years. These are certain peculiar features of capital expenditure. Now, my dear students, why do we need to study the topic capital budgeting? Now, capital budgeting is important and necessary because of various reasons. First of all, these decisions have national importance. Why national importance? Because capital expenditure decisions involve huge investments in various construction projects like construction of dam, bridge, canal, stadium, etc. And if a business house is investing in these sorts of projects, definitely it will lead to development of the nation. It will also generate huge employment opportunities. Now, another reason why capital expenditure assumes significance is that it involves investment of huge amount of money. Now, whenever huge amount of money is involved, definitely decision has to be taken with utmost precision and with utmost care. We will later on in this session be discussing about various techniques of capital budgeting or various methods of evaluation of capital investment proposals. Now, another reason why capital budgeting assumes significance is that in capital expenditure projects, as I have told you earlier, the benefits are not received in the year of investment, but they will be received in a number of subsequent years. Now, my dear students, another reason why capital budgeting is important because the degree of risk involved in such projects is huge. Why? Because in business we believe in the basic principle that higher the degree of risk, greater is the possibility of earning profits. As in business, there is a saying that no risk, no gain. So, since these investment decisions involve huge degree of risk and chances of profitability are also high, so definitely a lot of thought has to be taken while taking decisions about capital expenditure. And as I have told you earlier, such decisions are irreversible. Once we have taken a decision to invest in a capital expenditure project, we cannot go back on it. So, definitely we need to show extreme precaution and caution while taking decisions about investment in capital expenditure. Now, my dear students, I will just discuss with you what is the capital budgeting process. Capital budgeting process. I will be briefly discussing with you about capital budgeting process. Capital budgeting process consists of a number of steps. the first step is identification of investment proposals. Now somebody has to identify that certain investment proposals exist. Who will identify? Either top management can do that, or middle level management can do that. Even the lower level management also can identify investment proposals and submit the proposals to the superior authorities. Such each departmental head, after receiving such proposals from his department colleagues, what he will do is that he will submit such proposals to the Capital Expenditure Planning Committee. That is the first step, identification of investment proposals. The second step in the capital budgeting process is screening of the proposals. After the proposals have been received by the Capital Expenditure Planning Committee, they have to be screened in order to check whether such proposals are in synchronization with the organizational objectives and mission and strategy of the firm or not. Those proposals which do not match with the organizational objectives will be straight away rejected. Now the third step in the capital expenditure process is evaluation of various investment proposals. Different investment proposals will be evaluated by using various techniques of capital budgeting, which I will be covering in the later part of this online session. Now the fourth step in the capital budgeting process is assigning ranks to the various projects. What we do? We assign ranks to the various projects, rank 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. What we do is that we assign ranks in descending order, so that the proposal which is having the highest profitability factor will be given rank 1, 2 and so on. So what happens, since funds are limited, what we have to do? We have to assign funds or allocate funds to different projects according to the profitability quotient. This is a technique which is called as capital rationing. Now what do you mean by capital rationing? Capital rationing means selecting that combination of investment proposals which will yield the highest profitability for a business firm. Because as we know, funds are not unlimited, funds are always in limited supply. We have to utilize the funds to the maximum possible extent. Now dear students, the next step in capital budgeting process is preparation of capital expenditure budget. Now the capital expenditure budget will be prepared and accordingly funds will be sanctioned to be spent on capital expenditure. Unless budget is prepared, funds cannot be sanctioned, funds cannot be spent. The next step in the capital budgeting process is actual expenditure to be incurred and actual implementation of the proposal. Actual work has to be done on the proposal. Suppose funds have been sanctioned for construction of a national highway, then actual work has to start on that and the work has to be completed within the stipulated time. And the last and the most important step in this process is performance review. Unless the performance is actually reviewed, we cannot know the efficacy of capital budgeting. Funds should actually have been used for the purpose for which they have been sanctioned. Otherwise, there is no use. So we can also use post completion audit for this particular purpose of performance review. Now my students, I think you must have developed a little bit brief idea about what you mean by capital budgeting, what is capital expenditure, what is revenue expenditure and what does the capital budgeting process actually mean. Now I will straight away come to techniques of capital budgeting. Techniques of capital budgeting. What do we mean by techniques? Techniques means the various methods which we use for evaluating various capital investment proposals which are available before a business enterprise. It is also called as evaluation of capital investment proposals. Now when we discuss about techniques of capital budgeting, there are two techniques. First we have got the traditional techniques. First we have got the traditional techniques of capital budgeting, then we have got the discounted techniques of capital budgeting. Now these discounted techniques are also called as the time adjusted techniques of capital budgeting. Now traditional techniques of capital budgeting are those techniques which do not take into account the time value of money. My dear students, you must have been conversant by now what we mean by time value of money. Time value means that the value of money doesn't remain constant at all points of time. It changes with the passage of time. So traditional methods do not consider the time value of money, but discounted methods consider the changes in the value of money with the passage of time. Under traditional methods, we have got three methods. The first one is your payback period method. Payback period method, as the name suggests, payback. Payback means the number of years in which the investment in a particular project pays itself back. It means the number of years in which whatever investment we are making in a particular project, we are recovering it. So it is called as payback period method. So this method is quite suitable because if a project has a shorter payback period, it is good from the point of view of the business, because investment in a project can be recovered very quickly within a shorter span of time. So it is basically very preferable method. And payback period method, when we calculate, we take the concept of annual cash inflows. Now students, what do you mean by annual cash inflows? Cash inflows means profit before depreciation but after taxes. Why we do not deduct depreciation while calculating the cash inflows? Because depreciation does not involve any outflow of cash. It does not involve any out of pocket cost. So when we use the payback period method, what we do is that the formula to calculate the payback period equals to total investment in the project, divided by annual cash inflows. Suppose the total investment in a project is 1 lakh and suppose the annual cash inflow is rupees 10,000. So payback period will be rupees 1 lakh divided by rupees 10,000, that is 10 years. So I think this must be clear to all of you. Okay. Now payback period method, as I told you, is the most simplest method, easiest to operate. It doesn't involve much cost, doesn't involve much labor time. So small concerns usually prefer the payback period method. But one big limitation of the payback period method, as I have told you earlier, is that it doesn't consider the time value of money, which is a big factor. Okay. My dear students, the second method under the traditional method is improvements in traditional approach to payback period method. This is the traditional payback period method. Now, certain improvements have also been made to the traditional approach to payback period method. One of such method is post payback profits method. Post payback profits method. Now, what do you mean by post payback profits? Post payback profits means the profits which are earned by a business concern after the payback period. In the payback period, we were not considering whatever profits a business firm is earning after the payback period, but here we considered the post payback profits, and the formula for this is post payback profits into 100 divided by total investment. Post payback profits into 100 divided by total investment. Now another improvement in traditional approach to the payback period method is payback reciprocal method. Reciprocal method is just the reverse of this. What we do under payback reciprocal method? Annual cash inflow divided by total investment. That is the payback reciprocal method. Another improvement in the traditional payback period is post payback profits method. Post payback profits method, what we do? First of all, we calculate the payback period, then after the payback period, how many number of years are there, that we take. And the best variant of this payback period method is discounted payback period method. Discounted payback period method, what we do is that we calculate the present value of cash inflows and present value of cash outflows, and we calculate the discounted payback period method. Discounted payback period method. So here what we do? Present value of cash inflows minus present value of cash outflows. So whenever the present value of cash inflows equals to the present value of cash outflows, that is the discounted payback period. For this purpose, we have to refer to the annexure appendix tables. We have to refer to present value table, table C. So my dear students, this was the traditional method, payback period method, and the improvement in traditional approach to payback period method. Another traditional method is rate of return on investment method. Rate of return on investment method. Rate of return on investment method, my dear students, doesn't consider the cash inflows. What it considers is the accounting concept of profit, which means profit after depreciation and after taxes, which is quite comfortable for all of us, because basically we are more comfortable with the accounting concept of profit as compared to the cash inflows. So rate of return method is calculated like this. Suppose we have got the profits of 10 years. What do? We add up the profits of 10 years and we divide it by the number of years. How many years? 10 years. Suppose total profits of 10 years comes to rupees 10,000, 10 lakh. So divided by how many years? 10 years. So what is this 10 lakh divided by 10 years? This is the average profit. So first of all, what we do? We calculate the average profit. Average profit comes to rupees 1 lakh. Then this average profit, what we do? We divide this average profit by the net investment in the project. Net investment, and multiply it by 100, and we get the rate of return on investment method. This is another variation. There are other variations of the rate of return method also, like average return on average investment, where we calculate the average annual profits and divide it by the net investment and divide by 2 into 100. So this, my dear students, was about the traditional methods. Now we come to the time adjusted or the discounted methods, which are technically more correct and more accurate. Discounted methods. Under discounted method, the first method is your net present value method. Now my dear students, always remember, many times you get questions, which is the best method in capital budgeting. Remember, without any shred of doubt, net present value method is the best method of capital budgeting. Net present value method, why it is the best method? Because it considers the time value of money and is suitable for evaluation of different types of investment proposals. Under net present value method, what we do? First of all, we find out an appropriate rate of discount or a cost of capital or a cut-off rate. Then what do? We look at table C, appendix table C. We calculate the present value of cash inflows by multiplying the annual cash inflow with that appropriate discount factor. And then we also see the present value of cash outflows. So see, net present value equals to present value of cash inflows minus present value of cash outflows or investment. Now remember, if this figure comes to a 0 or positive figure, it means that the project is a profitable one. We should invest in that project. If the net present value comes to 0 or positive, we invest in the project. Otherwise, it's a loss making one. We should not think of investing in that project. So this is the best method of capital budgeting. Why? Because it considers the time value of money. It is suitable for evaluation of all types of investment proposals and the most accurate. So another but one limitation of this method is that this method is not so suitable when investment in a particular project is to be made in parts, and sometimes it becomes difficult to find out which is the appropriate cost of capital or the cut-off rate. These are certain limitations of the NPV method. Now my dear students, we come to the second method under the time adjusted methods, that is the internal rate of return method, IRR method. Now IRR method is also called as the hit and trial method or the trial and error method, because here the cut-off rate or the cost of capital or the appropriate discount rate is not known. We have to calculate it by the formula of trial and error or hit and trial. So what we do in IRR method, suppose the annual cash inflows are equal every year. Okay, so what we do, how do we calculate the IRR? We find out total investment divided by annual cash inflows. We get a certain figure and then we look at table D to find out the internal rate of return. But suppose, as in majority of the cases, the annual cash inflows are not equal in all the years. So what we do? First of all, we take an assumed discount rate, for example 10%. Then at that particular rate of discount, we calculate the net present value, that is present value of cash inflow minus present value of investment or cash outflow. And if the figure comes to a positive figure, then we still apply a higher rate of discount, let us say 12%. Still, if the figure comes a positive, we apply higher rate of discount. We go on applying higher rates of discount till the NPV comes to 0 or negative. If the NPV comes to a negative figure, it means IRR lies between the two rates, and we have to calculate it by a formula. So now, my dear students, we have discussed two methods under the time adjusted method. The first one was our net present value method, which I have already told you that is the best method of capital budgeting without any doubt, and the second one was your internal rate of return method. Now the third method under the time adjusted method is our profitability index method. Profitability index method. Now remember, profitability index method is also called as benefit cost ratio. This is a variation of the net present value method. So profitability index, how can we calculate? We can calculate gross profitability index and net profitability index. Now gross profitability index equals to present value of cash inflows divided by present value of cash outflows, and net profitability index equals to net present value. What do you mean by net present value? Present value of cash inflow minus present value of cash outflow divided by present value of cash outflow. Now my dear students, just remember, if the gross profitability index is 1 or greater than 1, the investment project should be accepted. Remember, if it is 1 or greater than 1. And regarding net profitability index, if it is 0 or positive figure, we should accept the project. If it is a negative figure, we do not accept the project. And another formula to calculate the net profitability index also equals to gross profitability index minus 1. Minus 1. And profitability index method, remember my dear students, has more or less the same advantages and disadvantages like net present value method. And more or less it is also a very superior method, but still I maintain NPV method is the best method of capital budgeting. Now I have also discussed with you the different techniques of capital budgeting. Today we have also discussed regarding the necessity of capital budgeting. We have discussed capital budgeting process and various traditional methods of capital budgeting, various modern or time adjusted or discounted methods of capital budgeting, and we have also summed up that which is the best method of capital budgeting. Now my dear students, one more concept which I want to touch upon is capital rationing. Capital rationing. Suppose a business firm has got various investment proposals. Now a business firm doesn't have unlimited access to funds so that it can invest in all the projects, even though all might be profitable. So what it has to do is, it has to assign ranks to the different proposals by following various methods of capital budgeting. Whichever method is best suited, that method can be used, and ranks will be given in descending order, like best project will be given rank 1, 2 and so on. So the firm should continue to invest in the proposals starting from the best and down onwards till the funds are exhausted. So capital rationing means selecting that combination of investment proposals which will give the maximum profitability for the firm. So my dear students, this was a session on capital budgeting. I will be again back with more sessions. Thank you so much.